I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request. No one desires pain, but he can think that pain is pleasure. No one would avoid his happiness, but he can think that joy is painful, threatening, and dangerous. Everyone will receive what he requests, but he can be confused indeed about the things he wants, the state he would attain. What can he then request that he would want when he receives it? He asks for what will frighten him and bring him suffering. Let us resolve today to ask for what we really want, and only this, that we may spend the day in fearlessness, without confusing pain with joy or fear with loss. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request. Father, this is your day. Father, this is your day. It is a day in which I would do nothing by myself, but hear your voice in everything I do. Requesting only what you offer me, what you offer me. Accepting only thoughts you share, only what you share with me. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request. And what is the ego? The ego is idolatry, the sign of limited and separated self. Born in a body, doomed to suffer and end its life in death. It is the will which makes the will of God as enemy. It is the will that sees the will of God as enemy, and takes a form in which it is denied. The ego is the proof that strength is weak and love is fearful. Life is really death, and what opposes God alone is true. The ego is insane in fear, it stands beyond the everywhere. Apart from all, in separation from the infinite. In its insanity, it thinks it has become a victor over God himself. And in its terrible autonomy, it sees the will of God has been destroyed. It dreams of punishment and trembles at the figures in its dreams. Its enemies who seek to murder it before it can ensure its safety by attacking them. The Son of God is egoless. The Son of God is egoless. What can he know of madness and the death of God when he abides in him? What can he know of sorrow and of suffering? What can he know of sorrow and of suffering when he lives in eternal joy? What can he know of fear and punishment, of sin and guilt, hatred and attack when all there is surrounding him is, when all there is surrounding him is everlasting peace. Forever conflict free and undisturbed in deepest silence, in deepest silence and tranquility. To know reality is not to see the ego and its thoughts, its works, its acts, its laws, and its beliefs, its dreams, its hopes, its plans for its salvation, and the cost belief in it entails. In suffering, the price for faith in it is so immense. The crucifixion of the Son of God is offered daily at its darkened shrine, and blood must flow before the altar where its sickly followers, where its sickly followers prepare to die. Yet will one lily of forgiveness change the darkness into light, the altar to illusions, to the shrine of life itself, and peace will be restored forever to the holy minds, which God created as His Son, His dwelling place, His joy, His love, completely one with Him. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today in studying A Course in Miracles. This is lesson 339. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles. Here on Wednesday, December the 4th of 2024. It's actually Sunday for me, a few days before when the actual day of the lesson. I do them a few days early. Okay, and we sang What is the Ego? Let's read the lesson again. I will receive whatever I request. Let me turn to the page. And, keep in mind on this lesson that, remember when we read, let's see if I can just find it real quick. In Manual for Teachers, what is the role of words in healing? And it says in there, the first paragraph, what you ask for, you receive. But this refers to the prayer of the heart, not the words you use in praying. Sometimes the words and the prayer are contradictory. Sometimes they agree. It does not matter. Okay, so remember, it's the prayer of our heart. It's what we're wishing for, what we're wanting, what we hope for. It's our value system we're working with. So what do we value? Because that's what we're praying for. Every wish or every feeling, every hope is a prayer. And you always receive what you are truly asking for, regardless of how hard that might be to understand. It'll come into clarity as you practice forgiveness. We're going to get a good encouragement to practice forgiveness because it brings the awareness of what we forgot, God, back into our awareness. So let's just take a look now at the lesson once again. I want to just read it. We sang it, but let's read it. Sometimes it's easier to get it when you read it. Sometimes it helps me more when I sing it. So a little of both might work really good. Lesson 339, I will receive whatever I request. Remember, that's the prayer of the heart. No one desires pain, but he can think that pain is pleasure. No one would avoid his happiness, but he can think that joy is painful, threatening, and dangerous. Everyone will receive what he requests, but he can be confused indeed about the things he wants, the state he would attain. What can he then request that he would want when he receives it. He has asked for what will frighten him and bring him suffering. Let us resolve today to ask for what we really want, and only this, that we may spend this day in fearlessness, without confusing pain with joy or fear with love. Father, this is your day. It is a day in which I would do nothing by myself, but hear your voice in everything I do, requesting only what you offer me, accepting only thoughts you share with me. So let's dismiss all ego thoughts and let's begin to tune in with God's voice, his thoughts, and let's accept those as what we want. Do your lesson, longer period, morning and evening, and for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes or longer, and do that every morning and every evening. And then every hour of the day, find something to give God thanks for. Ask for direction. Check in. Make sure you're at peace. Are you listening to God's voice? It's your voice. It's what you truly want. It's your true wishes. It's what you're really praying for, underneath all the chatter on the surface that makes the illusion of the world. And on those hourly remembrances, tell yourself, I will receive whatever I request. And then look and see what you're receiving. Find out what you've been requesting. If you don't like it, ask God for help. Okay, let's see. Let's go look in our psychotherapy purpose, process, and practice reading. The place of religion in psychotherapy, which is chapter 2. The process of psychotherapy, section Roman numeral 2, the place of religion in psychotherapy. To be a teacher of God, it is not necessary to be religious, or even to believe in God to any recognizable extent. Now, that should be inspiring to a lot of us, that you don't have to believe in God to be a teacher of God. Isn't that amazing? To be a teacher of God, it is not necessary to be religious or even to believe in God to any recognizable extent. It is necessary, however, to teach forgiveness rather than condemnation. Even in this, complete consistency is not required, for one who had achieved that point could teach salvation completely, within an instant and without a word. Yet he who has learned all things does not need a teacher, and the healed have no need for a therapist. Relationships are still the temple of the Holy Spirit, and they will be made perfect in time and restored to eternity. Wow, our relationships are the temple of the Holy Spirit. Paragraph 2. Formal religion has no place in psychotherapy, but it also has no real place in religion. Catch that. Formal religion has no place in psychotherapy, but it also has no real place in religion. In this world, there is an astonishing tendency to join contradictory words into one term without perceiving the contradiction at all. The attempt to formalize religion is so obviously an ego attempt to reconcile the irreconcilable that it hardly requires elaboration here. Religion is experience. Psychotherapy is experience. At the highest levels, they become one. Neither is truth itself, but both can lead to truth, religion or psychotherapy. What can be necessary to find truth, which remains perfectly obvious, but to remove the seeming obstacles to true awareness? Paragraph 3. No one who learns to forgive can fail to remember God. Okay, now there's why we want to practice forgiveness, because look at what a wonderful promise. No one who learns to forgive can fail to remember God. You want to remember God? Well, then just keep practicing your forgiveness of every person, place, thing, and situation until you see the beauty, until you see heaven is all around you. Love is everywhere, always, without interruption. No one who learns to forgive can fail to remember God. Forgiveness, then, is all that need be taught, because it is all that need be learned. All blocks to the remembrance of God are forms of unforgiveness, nothing else. Wow, catch that. All blocks to the remembrance of God are forms of unforgiveness and nothing else. This is never apparent to the patient, and only rarely so to the therapist. The world has marshaled all its forces against this one awareness, for in it lies the ending of the world and all it stands for. Paragraph 4. Yet it is not the awareness of God that constitutes a reasonable goal for psychotherapy. Yet it is not the awareness of God that constitutes a reasonable goal for psychotherapy. This will come when psychotherapy is complete, for when there is forgiveness, truth must come. It would be unfair indeed if belief in God were necessary to psychotherapeutic process. Nor is belief in God a really meaningful concept, for God can be but known. Belief implies that unbelief is possible, but knowledge of God has no true opposite. Not to know God is to have no knowledge, and it is to this that all unforgiveness leads. And without knowledge, one can have only belief. Paragraph 5. Different teaching aids appeal to different people. Some forms of religion have nothing to do with God, and some forms of psychotherapy have nothing to do with healing. Yet if pupil and teacher join in sharing one goal, God will enter into their relationship because he has been invited to come in. In the same way, a union of purpose between patient and therapist restores the place of God to ascendance, first through Christ's vision, and then through the memory of God himself. The process of psychotherapy is the return to sanity. Teacher and pupil, therapist and patient are all insane, or they would not be here. Together they can find a pathway out, for no one will find sanity alone. Wow, brothers and sisters are really important to us finding our way home, finding our way out of insanity. Paragraph 6. If healing is an invitation to God to enter into his kingdom, what difference does it make how the invitation is written? Does the paper matter, or the ink, or the pen? Or is it he who writes that gives the invitation? God comes to those who would restore his world, for they have found the way to call to him. If any two are joined, he must be there. It does not matter what their purpose is. Doesn't even matter what the purpose is if they're joined. If any two are joined, he must be there. It does not matter what their purpose is, but they must share it wholly to succeed. It is impossible to share a goal not blessed by Christ, for what is unseen through his eyes is too fragmented to be meaningful. Paragraph 7. As true religion heals, so must true psychotherapy be religious. Fine line between the first sentence and paragraph 2. Formal religion has no place in psychotherapy, but it also has no real place in religion. And then that first sentence in paragraph 2, this first sentence, paragraph 7, as true religion heals, so must true psychotherapy be religious. But both have many forms because no good teacher uses one approach to every pupil. On the contrary, he listens patiently to each one and lets him formulate his own curriculum, not the curriculum's goal, but how he can best reach the aim it sets for him. Perhaps the teacher does not think of God as part of teaching. Perhaps the psychotherapist does not understand that healing comes from God. They can succeed where many who believe they have found God will fail. Paragraph 8. What must the teacher do to ensure learning? What must the therapist do to bring healing about? Only one thing. the same requirement salvation asks of everyone. Each one must share one goal with someone else, and in so doing, lose all sense of separate interests. Only by doing this is it possible to transcend the narrow boundaries the ego would impose upon the self. Only by doing this can teacher and pupil, therapist and patient, you and I, accept atonement and learn to give it as it was received. In paragraph 9, which I think is the last paragraph of this section, yes. Communion is impossible alone. Communion is impossible alone. No one who stands apart can receive Christ's vision. It is held out to him, but he cannot hold out his hand to receive it. Let him be still and recognize his brother's need is his own, and let him then meet his brother's need as his, and see that they are met as one, for such they are. What is religion but an aid in helping him to see that this is so? And what is psychotherapy except a help in just this same direction? It is the goal that makes these processes the same, for they are one in purpose and must thus be one in means. Okay, religion and psychotherapy. I will receive whatever I request. Let's see what's going on around the world today. Cabernet Franc Day, which is a black grape, Vitis vinifera, zone 6 through 9. And Extraordinary Work Team Recognition Day. Good time for a Christmas party, it sounds like. International Cheetah Day, the Asinox jubatus. They can reach 64 miles an hour, 63 kilometers an hour. They're related to the Pumas conchodor, the cougar, and they reach 50 miles an hour here in North America. Cookie Day, Dice Day. Dice have been around for over 5,000 years. Package Protection Day. Package Protection Day. Sock Day. Santa's List Day. Special Kids Day. Wear Brown Shoes Day. Women's Wednesday. And World Wildlife Conservation Day. And I was thinking about the Ozark black bear, the Ursus americanus, because I had a dream last night, and I was either good friends or was a black bear, not sure which, but I had to stalk around and hide because people kept trying to shoot me in the Ozarks. I woke up having a lot more respect for my brothers, the black bears. And then there's the broccoli Rabb, also known as spring rapini, in Seed Savers Exchange. It says, and it's a Brassica rapa, plant this crop early, harvest it regularly, enjoy it steamed, grilled, or sautéed, grown for its slightly nutty asparagus-flavored side shoots. Broccoli Rabb, also known as rapini, is related to both broccoli and turnips, the brassicas. Large plants mature over 1 to 2 week periods, bearing side shoots and large, tender, abundant leaves on thin stems, 40 to 60 days. So there's your broccoli Rabb. Reminds me of my friend Daniel's mom. She was a broccoli Rabb eater. She turned me on to broccoli Rabb. Okay, Miss Helena. Okay, let's see. I will receive whatever I request. Our word for peace will be from the Oromo people of Kenya, Africa. And the word for peace is Nagaya. So Nagaya be with you. Okay, well, let's close with our song. Thank you again for joining me here today in my bamboo, on my home place here in the Ozarks. Remember, let's be watching what prayer your heart is. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request. No one desires pain, but he can think that pain is pleasure. No one would avoid his happiness, but he can think that joy is painful, threatening, and dangerous. Everyone will receive what he requests, but he can be confused indeed about the things he wants, the state he would attain. What can he then request that he would want when he receives it? He has asked for what will frighten him and bring him suffering. Let us resolve today to ask for what we really want, and only this, that we may spend the day in fearlessness, without confusing pain with joy or fear with love. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request. Father, this is your day. Father, this is your day. It is a day in which I would do nothing by myself, but hear your voice in everything I do, requesting only what you offer me, accepting only thoughts you share with me. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive the prayer of my heart. I will receive whatever I request. I will receive whatever I request. Okay. That black bear in my dream said, I wish everyone was a vegan. They quit shooting at me. He actually had really a wonderful spirit about him that in my dream. We need to learn to respect all sentient beings. I will receive whatever I request. And out of the Oromo people of Kenya, Nagaya. Nagaya be with you. Peace be with you. Nagaya. I will receive whatever I request. Nagaya. And I might add one more thing. You don't have to be a vegan to understand A Course in Miracles. But since you're listening to me, I like to share a little bit about who I am. I will receive whatever I request. Nagaya.